Hey guys, it's Hamza, and in today's video, I'm frustrated. I'm a real estate investor with over 1,000 tenants here in Houston, Texas. And because of the pandemic, there's a few things that are happening to me and to my portfolio. And I wanted to talk about some of the issues us landlords are facing, primarily due to the eviction ban. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you guys my response and my thoughts on what's going on with rent collections and how to better prepare yourself for something like this in the future. Now, in reality, every landlord is gonna experience some type of non-payment of rent. It's just something that we have to expect and be prepared for. So if this is happening to you now, don't worry, it's a very common occurrence. And in fact, this is just part of being a landlord, which is why I always tell people if you're gonna invest in real estate, don't expect it to be a completely passive investment. There's going to be times when things are going to get difficult and you are going to have to actively manage your real estate portfolio. Whether that's one home or 1,000 home, the process is exactly the same. But before I get into the video, please remember to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And with that, let me answer a few questions I get asked around this topic almost every day. The first one is, can I move my tenant stuff out when they're at work? You absolutely cannot do that until you have gone through the proper procedures in your state, whatever those may be. In the state of Texas, we have to file an eviction, go through that process, and if the tenant still doesn't want to move out, we have to have a sheriff get involved in order for us to escort all that furniture out of the unit properly. But that's here in Texas. So you guys need to find out what the local laws in your states are. The second question is also very interesting. Can I change the locks when my tenant is out at work? Yes, you can absolutely change the locks when your tenant is out at work. In fact, this technique works best if you're trying to communicate with your tenant and they've been dodging your calls or avoiding you out the property. With that being said, you do have to unlock the unit once the tenant communicates with you. Okay, now with that out of the way, let me talk about this a little more openly. So with the eviction ban in effect and the pandemic here to stay for quite a while, we are seeing non-payments. And what that means is our rent collection is lower than it generally is. Now, in some properties, we're experiencing about a 5% drop in collections, and this is due to the fact that those properties are located in areas where there's elderly. The properties in the area where the elderly people reside have not been affected because those folk collect their rent from the government in the form of unemployment, which means they basically receive money from the government and then they're able to cover their rent. I do have other properties where collections have dropped up to 10%, and I have one property that collections has dropped up to 12%. And this is because I still need to keep the property clean, pay my mortgage, pay my insurance, pay my taxes, pay all the expenses related to those properties. But I will tell you guys this. From what I'm seeing, there is a big percentage of people who are not paying their rents due to just being able to game the system. They're actually using the eviction ban to their advantage to be able to get away with not paying rent. And I think they will continue to game the system for as long as they can. So here in Houston, Texas, most eviction cases have been thrown out of the courts and will only be looked at starting January of 2021. And at that point, these tenants are going to owe us so much rent that I highly doubt they're going to be able to come up with the money. And I think this is what is happening all around the nation right now, which means there is going to be a massive turnover of tenants starting 2021. And I really think at that point, landlords are going to start asking for more deposits upfront from their tenants. Now, although a lot of tenants are in fact gaming the system due to the pandemic and using the pandemic as an excuse not to pay rent, this does not mean that we are unable to evict tenants right away. When you have a 1,000-unit portfolio, you've basically seen it all. And I have a lot of tenants who are disrupting the peace in their neighborhoods. Now, if any of my tenants commits a crime or disrupts the peace, I am able to evict them right away. Basically, I go through the eviction process and those cases are being seen and heard by judges today. Now, it's not all bad. I do have some good news. You have tenants who have genuinely been affected either by contracting the virus or due to the pandemic and them losing their jobs. But these tenants are good tenants, and these tenants will come up with options. This means they will commit to paying you either a partial rent or a full rent, just not at the first of the month. They're going to make payment plans to where they can keep up with the rent and they're not lagging behind. So come January, they're still okay and there's no need to evict those people. And over time, as people are starting to get back to work, I am seeing more and more of those cases. And the lesson I've learned here is that always look for good tenants, because even when the going gets tough, they will find a way to stay in their home and make payment. Those are the kind of tenants you want in your property. So make sure the next time you have a tenant looking at your deal, Make sure you screen them correctly and make sure you go through the proper process in order to qualify them. Of course, there's always unforeseen circumstances, but doing the work upfront will always keep you ahead of the curve. That's it for me. I'll see you guys next video.